my brave, bold, beautiful creatives. I am Mel, and this is Create and Company, where we work more on our creative projects than we procrastinate on them. So let's get into the creativity through the lens of Rick Rubin. We're doing an online, virtual, international, forever book club on the book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And today we're going to go between pages 218 to 234. The three mini chapters included here are success and connected detachment, possibility, and the ecstatic. The ecstatic. By the way, if you're curious about how you can get working on your creative project with more ease, flow, confidence, and consistency, you can check the Dropbox right below this video to find out how and when you can work with me. Okay, success. Rick Rubin gave a definition of success that I found very supportive, refreshing, and liberating, because he says that we shall measure success not based on popularity, money, or critical esteem, but that it occurs in the privacy of the soul. So he takes success from the outer area of life and brings it back in. And he says it comes in the moment you decide to release the work, before exposure to a single opinion, when you've done all you can to bring out the work's greatest potential, when you're pleased and ready to let go. So how does that make you feel? Is that how you have been defining success with your creative projects? Comment below what you define as success and how you interpret his new definition of success, possibly new. He says success has nothing to do with variables outside yourself. To move forward is an aspect of success. This happens when we finish a work, share it, and begin a new project. That eternal cycle we were talking about earlier in the book. So if you've done the best you can, if you've completed it, if you've put it out into the world, that for him is already success. For a lot of us recovering perfectionists, that can feel too easy. And yet I think it puts everything back in order, because once you define it like this, the sooner and smoother you will get to that success than putting it off due to fear of the outside public reception of your work. Later in this mini chapter, on page 220, he says, sometimes they will be applauded or rewarded, our creative projects, sometimes not. If we second guess our inner knowing to attempt to predict what others may like, our best work will never happen. So that is him saying what I just said in a different way, which is if you overthink how others are going to receive your work, you'll never get it out there out of that very fear. So then he goes on to say that popular success isn't a good barometer or measure of success, because it depends on so many things that can be happening. For example, he said, like, let's say you release your work on a Sunday, June 1st, and that day there's a huge tragedy in the news or a big celebration, and all people's attention gets put there versus the next day when they would have paid more attention to it. I thought that was a good way of him reminding us that there's lots of other outside factors that are going to get people's attention. He says most variables are completely out of our control. The only ones we can control are doing our best work, sharing it, starting the next, and not looking back. That had a very cowboyish ring to it. Very like, don't look back, partner. Anyway, so first of all, he says you can't control a lot of outside factors regarding if you're going to be well received or popularly received. Then he says on page 220 into 221 that if you measure your success on how much people love your work, you might actually be doing that because you're very sad inside and you think that that outer celebration, applause, reception, respect, wealth, etc., payment, all that outer stuff. He says that you might think that's going to make you happy, but he's super sure that that's not going to make you happy if you haven't already found your happiness. He says a lot of artists who work diligently to accomplish this are rarely prepared for the reality of it. Most aspects of popularity are not advertised, and the artist is often just as empty as they were before, probably more so. Ouch. So let that sink in. Sometimes because a lot of artists are putting so much of their joy expectation into the fame, the fortunes, popularity, when it comes, and that's still not enough, they can be even sadder or emptier after. It makes me think of that actor from Friends that we learned died and recently, and how much on the show and in the public, we often put celebrities and people who have public popularity on a pedestal. That was a lot of peace. Anyway, then another point he puts into this popularity misconception or myth is that often when you do then gain that loyal audience, you become a prisoner to it. Meaning, if you think success is how much do they like my work, you might keep creating only based on will they keep liking my work. And he says that then you're not going to follow your instinct towards the movement and evolution that it would be wiser to listen to. Your trust in your instincts and excitement are what resonate with others. That's a beautiful way he ties it all together and says, trusting in yourself is what's going to resonate and call in the people, the right people. The next mini chapter, page 225, is called Connected Detachment Possibility. And this one's very beautiful because on a larger scale, he says to detach from the story of your life as it's happening and to instead have this like curious, like watch your life as a movie. And instead of sinking into the pain, he says, of heartbreak or the stress of being laid off, etc., just practice detachment, and your response could be like, hey, I wasn't expecting that plot twist. I wonder what's going to happen next to our hero, you being the hero. So not being so inside of your own movie, instead thinking that this is not the end. We're not done yet. Today I heard that on a YouTube and I really liked it. It said like, it was someone saying, we're just not done yet. We're just not done yet. So don't get bogged down by whatever is happening in this chapter of your life. Zoom in and obsess, he says. Zoom out and observe. We get to choose. So zoom out. And don't label things as good or bad, even a dark night of the soul or a darker chapter, more difficult chapter. He says, just let it be part of the larger story. He ends this mini chapter by saying, art has the power to snap us out of our transfixion, open our minds to what's possible, and reconnect with the eternal energy that moves through all things. That was a sentence that brings us back into the bigger picture of how our whole life can change and deepen and become more magical by living creatively. Last mini chapter called The Ecstatic. And here, similar to earlier in the book when he talked about listening to the things that take your breath away, noticing them, remembering them, opening yourself up to more of them. Here he says that there are times when the ecstatic reaches us, and that ecstatic is our compass, he says, pointing to our true north. It arises genuinely in the process of creation. You're working and struggling, and suddenly you notice a shift, a revelation. A small tweak is made, a new angle is revealed, and it takes your breath away. And so he says that in these epiphanies is the heart of creativity. It's animalistic, it's a whole body feeling. Your ecstatic isn't going to be mental, it's going to be that body knowing. And the beauty of creation, he says, is that we can surprise ourselves and make something greater than we're capable of understanding at the time, if we ever can. So again, it's not mental, it's not logical, it's not even predictable. He says the ecstatic is our compass. Remember to be in tune for that ecstatic. And then this was really beautiful because he said that many artists come to realize long after their work is released that it was actually a shockingly vulnerable and cryptic form, check this out, of self-confession. A part of themselves was trying to find resolution or to find a voice. Yep. So he says to follow those instinctual bodily reactions. You know, so many books talk about how the body keeps score, the body knows. And so you may have secrets and knowings and solutions in your body, in your muscles, in your DNA, maybe in what your ancestors have passed down to you. And so those latent ideas and emotions, he says, are hiding in deeper layers of the psyche, and they may find their way into our lyrics, our scenes, and our canvases. So the ecstatic is that, like, I'm seeing it almost like a waterfall of the soul through the body. The last way he finishes this is, tune into these feelings in your creative work, these ecstatic feelings. Look for the reactions within. Look for the reactions within. Of all the experiences that occur during the creative process, touching the ecstatic and allowing it to guide our hand are the most profound and precious. That was on page 233. Ooh, you're almost bewildered to find yourself back in your body as if awakening from a spontaneous dream. So that mini chapter was one of those that he sprinkles in that to me are some of the most spiritual or the most abstract, mysterious. The other ones have more practical and down to earth techniques. And then he contrasts with these very magical, mystical mini chapters, such as the ecstatic. Okay, so that was it for today. What resonated? What are you going to apply? How is your creative project going? What questions do you have for me? Maybe for Rick Rubin? Are you enjoying the book? Have you put any stickies into yours? Okay, well, you can tell me in the comments below. Also, I would love if you comment because then the community gets to interact with you as well. You can also email me, createandcompany@gmail.com. Check in the Dropbox below to make sure that's an updated email. And follow me or subscribe, as they say, here on YouTube so that you will be updated when I upload new videos like this, so I know you want more of this kind of stuff. And keep tuned because we're not even halfway through this journey of this book club. Okay, bye.